Hey everybody and welcome back, or if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to this episode of the digital studio of the Edge Summit 2024 here in London. And this time I am joined by my friend, David Manheim from Made with Intent, a partner of Bloomreach who is basically helping us in certain areas, and we will dig into this a little bit in the next couple of minutes. Thank you very much, David, that you took the time to be here with me on stage today.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be easy. We know each other.
Yeah, we know each other. We already had a couple of events together, didn't we? Very good.
Yes.
David, could you give me maybe a 30 seconds pitch about what actually Made with Intent is doing?
Yeah, of course. So we help predict the intent of your audience, right? Whether they're browsing or committing, whether they have a low level of intent to purchase or a high level of intent to exit. And we look at those nuanced signals, you know, your body language and your hand gestures and your tone of voice, but in the online world. Interpret all those signals, and you get context, right? So we take that context and it gives something meaningful to a Bloomreach platform or a Google Analytics platform, something that allows you to be more appropriate to your audience.
Appropriate. Very interesting word you're using there. So appropriate. What do you mean by that? So appropriate is a very big word, but what do you mean by when you use the word appropriate?
Well, what happens in personalization, right? People talk about the word relevancy. Let's be more relevant to our customers. I actually think we just need to take it a step back and not talk about relevancy, but to talk about being appropriate. Is this an appropriate thing to do? Do we think that by users landing on your homepage for the first time and immediately shoving a 10% discount in front of their face, do we think that's appropriate? No. Do we feel like it's appropriate to show people who are just browsing the site, you know, hey, 50 people have also bought this. Did you know that 100 people are looking at this? Do we feel that's appropriate? No. So I'm talking about using personalization, but taking it a step back to just human nature. Just, am I being appropriate in how I can communicate to you? I think that's what I mean when I talk about appropriateness.
Okay, so you just made a very interesting point, you know, and this also conjuncts a little bit with what a little bit the big topic of today was, when basically Anirban and so forth announced this conversational commerce piece and so forth, which is basically, you know, you just said body language. As an actual sales associate in a store, I can read you as a person, I can see eye contact, body language and so forth, but this doesn't exist in a digital world. Can you maybe give us a couple of examples what kind of signals you actually mean when we talk about taking these signals and really turning them into intent signals?
Yeah, it's the nuanced signals, the implicit signals that you think mean nothing online. You know, how long it takes someone to scroll to the 6th product card and then click on the nav and then back to the home page and then go on a product detail page, but zoom in for 12 seconds. I don't know. These things that in isolation mean nothing, Manuel. But collectively, they give meaning. You know, I can interpret your body language now. You're interested, you're curious, you know, you're leaning in more. Imagine that in the online world. So two big factors within our LLM is time and specificity. The more specific you are in your actions, and often, generally speaking, the quicker you are in your actions, that's a good determinant of intent. Like, Manuel, what do you do when you want a pint of milk at the supermarket, for example? You go straight to the milk aisle.
Of course, when I know where it is.
But exactly, but your actions will dictate your intent to purchase that milk. You'll probably get to the milk aisle quicker. You're more specific in how you do those actions. It doesn't matter whether you've been to the grocery store 50 times previously. Your actions there and then are more indicative of your behavior.
But the other aspect, because I had today also an interview where we were talking about basically, as you just said, the CRM data versus the in-session moment. So sometimes, even though that I know, and I know you a little bit, and also your T-shirt reveals it, of course, you're a big Disney fan.
I am, sir.
Very big Disney fan. But in the end of the day, yes, this is the information I have in my CRM, but maybe at one day you come in and you have another intent. In this session you're showing another behavior.
Yeah.
So how is Made with Intent helping there, bridging this gap, this thing between what do I have in my CRM and what do I have in my in-session data? This combination? Well, how can you help in this area?
Well, often what you have in your CRM is retrospective data. You have some profile information, probably some affinity information. User is interested in their watch or, you know, some Chelsea boots. And you have things that they've already done, clicked on this campaign, visited this page, come from this traffic source, that type of thing. That's great context, but it's nowhere near as meaningful, in my opinion, and from what we've seen, as the context of what the user's doing there and then. Their intent to purchase, the strength of that intent to purchase. I would much rather know, Manuel, if I'm trying to sell you that watch, if you have a low level of intent, that means I need to build you up, I need to nurture you, I need to give you some education about the watch brands that you might be interested, or support you in a product discovery. If you have a high level of intent, I'm looking at closing the deal, right? I'm going to change my communication to be talk about maybe the features, the delivery, the warranty, I don't know, whatever ticks your boxes with watches. I don't know, we've just made that up, right?
Yeah, but that's exactly the point. So you basically, and now I'm coming to what Bloomreach and Made with Intent together are doing. You basically give us this information, this context, so that we can then change the communication. If we know low intent, we still have to convince the customer about the brands, talking about the branding. But if the customer already has something in the card and has shown a high intent, we try to close the deal, to have basically a conversion discussion. So this is basically what you guys do. So do you have maybe a customer example or something? I think we already worked together in a couple of customers.
Loads,
where we had great example. Do you have a customer example in mind you could walk us through right now?
Yeah, so let's take the Bite Direct group. They're really interesting, Appliances Direct. Bloomreach customer, Made of Intent customer. One of the reasons that they use Made of Intent for is to exclude users who might buy anyways from their discounting methodology. Okay, why would you discount to people who are ready to buy, who are on the cusp of buying? Protect your margin. Okay, so we've saved, Nick Glynn, the CEO and founder, says that we've saved them an incremental £1 million over a 6-month period. From that action alone, just ring fencing these people that are ready to buy and not excluding them from a discounting methodology, which I think is really nice. We've got other customers as well. We've got Ernest Jones and Rafa, for example. Rafa exclude users from their remarketing activity who have a low level of intent. Okay? Because the price point is so high, why would you market to users who aren't ready to buy just yet? And so they wait for a cycle for about 14 days, wait for a cycle until they see some form of intent, at which case then they'll do some remarketing. And they do that within the Bloomreach platform, of course, and using the context of where is the user in their buying stage. I think those are two really good examples of excluding or including users on the premise of asking one very simple question. Is this user ready to buy?
Yeah, and this is, I think, exactly this combination of implicit and explicit information, where basically you come in and you complement us in the data side, and then of course this enables us to be much more precise and more direct, and having, as you just said, the example of why should I show somebody a discount when I anyhow know that this person is going to buy. So David, we are coming unfortunately up to time, and we already know we could sit here for a couple of hours and talk about this stuff. Just you know, from an AI perspective, I just want you're an expert obviously in this, because you founded this company, which is you know, LLMs. You have all these methodologies. If you look into the future over the next couple of years, besides Bloomreach, besides Made of Intent, what is exciting you about this journey when it comes down to AI, and what do you think is the world going to look like in 5 to 10 years from now?
I think there's some jeopardy here, right? Some double jeopardy, if you lend me a moment to bend your ear. I think the idea of using AI in personalization comes with a benefit and a disadvantage. And the benefit is this idea of personalization at scale is, in theory, finally achievable, right? That's always been the conflict point of why personalization, the golden goose of marketing for the past 20 years, why it's never been realized, right? So AI will realize that. I don't think there's any question there. I think the double-edged sword comes in the fact that could it make the idea of making something more personal impersonal? Or
inappropriate.
Or inappropriate, exactly. Could it scale up that idea of inappropriateness? You know, instead of thinking of people as names, do they think of them as numbers? I was buying a coffee before, had to text to a chatbot, and you said, number 741. I much prefer going to Starbucks and being called David, thank you very much. So yeah, I think it's exciting, but it comes with a load of jeopardy at the same time. It's going to be great fun.
But that's a very great statement for the end of this session. So David, thank you very much for joining me today at this session. Also to you, thank you very much for tuning in. I think we were just touching on that. Be appropriate in your personalization. I think that's the best tip we can give you here. Tune in any other episode. Thank you very much. See you soon.